Good afternoon or good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. Obviously, deeply disturbed by this bill, the nature of the bill, the substance of it, and the process. Look, the American people are sick and tired of politicians telling them one thing and doing something different. I mean, Joe Biden, our president, and Democrat leadership promised a new era of unity and bipartisanship. We haven't seen anything of the like. I mean, I can appreciate a difference of opinion and a philosophical difference between my colleagues, but to say one thing and do another, a deluge of unilateral executive actions that have destroyed the livelihoods of people like the ones in my backyard in the oil patch who are working families, and their hopes and dreams have been shattered because President Biden said, "You're fired." He just said, "You're fired." We're trying to keep people in the game. We're trying to help them back onto their feet. We're trying to give them hope. And at the same time, out of one side of your mouth, we're saying this, and another side of our mouths, we're destroying people's livelihood and their quality of life. They're in a bad place. And on top of that, you've got a partisan impeachment that's going nowhere. I think it's unconstitutional. There's been no crime. It's silliness. It's backwards looking. It's petty. It's punitive. I could go on, but the fact is it's not unity. It's not working together to solve America's problems and to help our fellow countrymen and our country move forward. And this now partisan COVID ram and jam bailout and series of bad policies and barriers to going back to work is horrible. There's some good things buried in this, but for the most part, it's not good for the country. Like I said, to bail out union pensions and to bail out cities and states for their reckless and irresponsible behavior prior to COVID with no expectation of reforms, with no accountability, that is shameful. As stewards and fiduciaries of taxpayers, to call this COVID relief, to wrap that flag around these bailouts is, I'm just so disappointed. On top of that, we're instead of incentivizing and rewarding people for going back to work and opening up our economy and opening up our schools for our kids, we're paying people more to stay on unemployment. We're talking about leisure and hospitality and the service industry and how they're having a hard time. Well, of course they are. We've given people the rational decision to stay home and make more money than to go to work. We're putting more cash in the hands of people on the child tax credit for staying home and giving them more cash per child. And the lower the income and the less the work, the more they get paid. I mean, I feel like that, that whole saying, the 80s called and they want their welfare program back. I mean, we want to help people. And my colleagues know that we're willing to, because we passed $4 trillion in 6 COVID-related packages on a bipartisan basis. We did that. We were wanting to do it for months, but Speaker Pelosi didn't want to work with President Trump. So she'd rather him lose than the country win. We waited, but we've done this on a bipartisan basis. And we've targeted those in need. And we've put responsible measures in place that would incentivize the right behavior to get this country back. And this is nothing of the sort today, nothing of the sort. And anyway, I'm not going to go on and continue to rail against it. I have tremendous respect for my chairman and for my colleagues. This is horrible policy. This is a Trojan horse for things that are unrelated to COVID. There are some good things, and there's some things that are overpriced that we could work on, we could hone. But I remember getting lectured to my first term on Ways and Means from folks about what we did on Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and the process. And anyway, I hope none of us do that. We should stop lecturing each other about process. But I just want to get the policies right for my country. And this is not the right path. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.